The World Cup is finally here. While you'd expect the new faces to be fresh-faced teenagers, some of the most jaw-dropping World Cup debuts this summer belong to players who've been household names for years. These aren't your Lamine Yamals who were too young in 2022. These are established stars, proven winners, and in some cases, genuine legends of the modern game, who somehow have never played a single minute at a World Cup until now. Let's kick things off with a man who spent the last 12 months absolutely terrorizing defenses across Europe. Luis Diaz made the move from Liverpool to Bayern Munich last summer and hasn't looked back. 15 Bundesliga goals, 14 assists, a Bundesliga title, and a DFB Pokal to go with it. He was also the second highest scorer in CONMEBOL qualifying, bagging 7 goals for Colombia. When they sealed their place at the World Cup with a 3-0 win over Bolivia, Diaz delivered an assist and afterwards couldn't hold back his emotion. "I'm really happy about what we've achieved," he said. "It'll be my first time at a World Cup. I'm very moved by it. And here's the thing. He's 29. He made his senior debut for Colombia just months after the 2018 World Cup, and then they didn't qualify for 2022. That's nearly 8 years of international football before he gets his shot. Whatever Colombia does in North America, Diaz is going to be a must-watch." Speaking of players who were frustratingly close before finally getting their moment, Florian Wirtz knows that feeling better than most. He became Bayer Leverkusen's youngest ever debutant back in 2020 and earned his first Germany cap by September 2021. So by the time the Qatar World Cup came around, he was already a recognised name. The problem? An ACL tear in early 2022 wiped out the rest of his season and ruled him out of Germany's squad entirely. He watched the tournament from home. Healing. Fast forward to this season and Wirtz made a blockbuster move to Liverpool. The adaptation to the Premier League hasn't been seamless, but for Germany, he's delivered 3 goals in 3 2026 qualifiers. His first World Cup is a long time coming. And you know who else had their Qatar moment robbed from them by injury? Reece James. The Chelsea captain was in amazing form in 2022 before a knee injury sustained in the Champions League ended his tournament before it began. That feels like a lifetime ago now. James has battled through a series of serious setbacks across the last few years, but this season has been his most consistent in a long time. 37 appearances for Chelsea, a free kick goal on his first England start under Thomas Tuchel in 3.5 years, and a place in the 26-man squad for North America. Tuchel, who of course worked with James at Stamford Bridge and knows exactly what he gets from him, has reunited with one of his favourite players on the biggest stage. From one European comeback story to one of the continent's most decorated midfielders this decade. Hakan Calhanoglu made his international debut for Turkey back in 2013, when he was still playing his club football in Germany. He's won Serie A titles with Inter Milan, captained Turkey to the Euro 2024 quarter-finals, and now has over 100 caps to his name. But Turkey have only just qualified for their first World Cup in 24 years, their third appearance in the tournament's entire history. When they sealed qualification earlier this year, Calhanoglu had been openly emotional about what it meant. "One last game to satisfy the longing we've had since 2002, he wrote on Instagram. The last time Turkey were at a World Cup, they finished 3rd. Calhanoglu was 8 years old and playing in a youth team. Now he leads them as captain. What a story. Turkey aren't the only nation making their long-awaited return though, because Norway haven't been at a World Cup since 1998, a full 2 years before Erling Haaland was even born. And let's not sugarcoat it, Norway almost certainly don't get there without him. Haaland scored in every single one of their 8 qualifying games, finishing with 16 goals, more than any other player in any confederation. Nobody else in Europe even got close to 8. He bagged a hat-trick against Israel, 5 against Moldova, and completed the job with a brace in a stunning 4-1 rout of Italy in Milan. When Ødegaard was injured and sat out of the final 3 qualifiers, Haaland wore the armband and led Norway to 3 victories. His coach, Ståle Solbakken, has admitted openly that getting the ball to Haaland is the entire game plan, and with 55 international goals in 48 appearances, already Norway's all-time record scorer at just 25, you simply cannot argue with that logic. The best striker on earth is finally at the World Cup. The same goes for his Scandinavian neighbour, Alexander Isak, though Sweden's route there has been a bit messier. Isak actually earned his first 2 Sweden caps before the 2018 World Cup, at which Sweden did qualify, but he wasn't in the squad. Then Sweden missed out on Qatar entirely. This season has been deeply challenging on a personal level too. His blockbuster move to Liverpool came after a drawn-out transfer saga. He missed pre-season and then broke his leg just before Christmas. He made only 15 starts all season, but when he's pulled on that Sweden shirt, the class has still been there. Against Norway in a warm-up friendly recently, he came off the bench and scored one of the goals of the summer. It was the kind of moment that reminded everyone why Liverpool paid what they did. Sweden faced Tunisia, the Netherlands and Japan. This tournament could be Isak's reset. While Sweden finally qualified, Gabriel Magalhaes had a different kind of weight. He's been at Arsenal since 2020 and was already regarded as one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League, yet Brazil didn't even call him up for a single senior cap before Qatar. His 2 teammates, Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus, both went to Qatar. He watched them from London. Arteta called it a disappointment at the time. Gabriel didn't kick up a fuss, he just kept working. He made his Brazil debut in October 2023, went to the Copa America in 2024, and has now just finished a season in which Arsenal recorded 23 clean sheets across the Premier League and Champions League, with Marquinhos, his own Brazil captain and rival at PSG, calling him the best defender in the world. When he missed the penalty in the Champions League final, Marquinhos went straight over to console him and made it clear, we need him for the World Cup. The bond between those two will be Brazil's defensive cornerstone this summer. Now onto Franck Kessie's Ivory Coast. And if you want to talk about players who've deserved this stage for a long time, Kessie is at the very top of that list. He was one of the best defenders in Serie A during his time at AC Milan, played a role in ending their 11-year wait for a Scudetto in 2022, spent a year at Barcelona and has since moved to Al Ahly in Saudi Arabia, where he's been voted Best Asian Player and helped them retain their AFC Champions League title. He captained Ivory Coast to AFCON glory on home soil in 2024, scoring the equaliser against Nigeria in the final. Now past 100 caps, he's never played at a World Cup, because Ivory Coast simply didn't qualify in 2018 or 2022. He even picked up an injury a month out from the tournament, raising serious concerns, but he's made the squad and he'll lead them out. 12 years after making his international debut, Kessie finally gets his World Cup. That leaves us with 2 men at clubs who are essentially running European football right now. Fabian Ruiz was named in the team of the tournament at Euro 2024, which Spain won, and was a key part of the PSG side that won back-to-back Champions League titles this season. Yet this will be his first World Cup. Why? Because, ironically, his current PSG manager Luis Enrique dropped him completely throughout 2022. Not a single call-up all year. After using him 15 times earlier in his career, he was frozen out. New coach Luis de la Fuente, who'd worked with Rui in the youth setup and remembered exactly what he could do, brought him straight back. A first World Cup at 30, and he goes there as a European champion. And finally, perhaps the most straightforward one, but no less valid, Ronald Araujo. He was named in Uruguay's 2022 squad, but had undergone thigh surgery in September of that year and never got on the pitch as they crashed out in the group stage. This year, Araujo heads into this tournament fully fit and ready to anchor Uruguay's back line alongside Gimenez. He's been dealing with a minor muscle concern in the build-up, but there's absolutely no question of him missing out this time. 4 years ago, he was a passenger. This summer, he's the leader. The World Cup is bigger than ever. 48 teams means more nations, more stories, but sometimes the best stories aren't about who's new. They're about who's finally arrived. Who do you think will make the biggest splash at this year's tournament? Let us know in the comments. Remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to turn on post notifications so that you never miss out on any new videos. We'll see you next time. Bye.